So today I will be taking a lecture on the topic chemical coordination and integration. In our body, all our physiological functions are controlled by the neural system as well as our endocrine system. The advantage of neural system is that it is a point to point rapid coordination. That means it is fast but short-lived. As our nerve fibers are not innervating all the cells of the body, there our endocrine system plays a role. It is a special kind of coordination and integration. So the neural system will be dealt in another chapter. Now I will be dealing in detail about this endocrine system. In our endocrine system, we are having endocrine gland. It is a modification of epithelial tissue. Our epithelial tissues are modified. This gland will produce products such as hormones. This gland do not have duct, and so they are called ductless gland. So what is this hormones? The hormones is non-nutrient chemical which are produced in trace amount. They are produced in trace amount by our endocrine gland. This is a current scientific definition. The old definition was there are hormone chemicals that are produced by the endocrine gland and they are released into the blood and transported to a distantly located target organ. The invertebrates is having very simple endocrine system, whereas the vertebrate is having, in vertebrates we are having a large number of chemicals which is acting as hormone and which is providing coordination. So here you can see the hypothalamus, the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, thyroid and parathyroid gland, the thymus gland, pancreas, adrenal gland, then ovaries and testes. These are organized endocrine glands. In addition to this, certain other organs such as GIT, kidneys, heart, they will also produce hormones. Liver is also included here. The pituitary gland, it is located in a bony cavity which is called as sella turcica, and it is attached to hypothalamus by a stalk, and that stalk is called as infundibulum. So this infundibulum is not mentioned in the textbook. I have just mentioned it. So depend more on the NCERT books. That's why I have changed the color. In human beings, the pituitary gland is having two lobes. The adenohypophysis. If this is the pituitary gland, we have pars distalis, pars intermedia and pars nervosa. pars nervosa. So here the pars distalis and the pars intermedia is togetherly called as adenohypophysis. Adenohypophysis, and the pars nervosa is called as neurohypophysis. Here the pars distalis region alone of pituitary is called as anterior pituitary, and the pars nervosa alone is called as the posterior pituitary. This anterior pituitary produces growth hormone, prolactin. It is represented as PRL. Thyroid stimulating hormone. It is represented as TSH. Adrenocorticotrophic hormone, represented as ACTH. Adrenocorticotrophic hormone. LH, luteinizing hormone. And FSH, follicular stimulating hormone. The pars intermedia produces only one hormone, which is MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. However, in humans, this pars distalis and the pars intermedia is almost merged. That is why it is having two lobes. So this is the diagram. Always depend on the NCERT diagrams. This is the hypothalamus, anterior pituitary, posterior pituitary. Here you can see through the portal circulation the hormone reaches the anterior pituitary. Whereas in the posterior pituitary there is direct neuronal control, hypothalamic neurons. The posterior pituitary, it store and release two hormones, that is oxytocin and vasopressin. There is a common mistake students will make here. Remember, the synthesis of these two hormones is actually from hypothalamus, and it is transported axonally to neurohypophysis. From this neurohypophysis, they are stored and released. Whereas in the case of anterior pituitary, they are secreted from there. This oxytocin, it stimulates our smooth muscle contraction. It stimulates our smooth muscle contraction, especially in females. During childbirth, the uterine contraction is stimulated by this hormone. So this hormone is also called as birth hormone. It is also called as milk ejection hormone because it acts on mammary gland and help in ejection. Remember, the oxytocin is present in both males as well as females. But in females, it is having a special function which is uterine contraction. The vasopressin is also called as ADH hormone. That means anti-diuretic hormone. It is because this vasopressin will act mainly on the kidneys and stimulate resorption of water and electrolyte from distal tubules, thereby reducing loss of water through urine. And this loss of water through urine is called diuresis. That is why it is called as antidiuretic hormone. The growth hormone, its oversecretion will lead to gigantism. But this oversecretion in adult, it will lead to acromegaly. The low secretion of GH will result in stunted growth. That means your growth will be reduced. Especially there is premature dwarfism. Pituitary dwarfism. So this acromegaly, it will result in serious complications and severe disfigurement, especially of face. And there will be premature death if unchecked. So this disease is hard to diagnose in early stage, and it often goes undetected for many years. Okay, the next one, prolactin. The prolactin will regulate the growth of mammary gland. And formation of milk in them. Then we are having thyroid stimulating hormone. So it stimulates the synthesis and secretion of thyroid hormone. That means if this is a thyroid gland and it is releasing thyroid hormones T3 and T4. So this thyroid stimulating hormone will come and act on this thyroid gland to stimulate the formation of these hormones. In the case of ACTH, adrenocorticotrophic hormone, it stimulates the synthesis and secretion of glucocorticoid from the adrenal cortex. The LH and FSH, they stimulate the gonadal activity. Hence they are called gonadotrophins. In humans, our testis is releasing androgen. So this LH in males, it will come and act on this testis so that more androgen is synthesized and more androgen is secreted. In males, this FSH and androgen, it is regulating spermatogenesis. That means formation of sperm. In females, this LH will induce ovulation. It induces ovulation and it maintain corpus luteum, which are formed from Graafian follicles. The FSH name itself suggests follicular stimulating hormone. That means it stimulates the growth and development of ovarian follicles. MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. It will act on the melanocyte, that means melanin containing cells, and it will regulate skin pigmentation. In our body, if the ADH is reduced, that means they are synthesized less, it will lead to diabetes insipidus, and the effect will be water loss and dehydration. It is because the ADH will be reabsorbing the water. So if there is low level of ADH, water is less reabsorbed. So there is more water loss and there is dehydration. Hypothalamus. It is also called supermaster gland out of NCERT. Hypothalamus, it is a basal part of diencephalon. That means forebrain. This hypothalamus contains nuclei. That means they are a group of neurosecretory cells which will produce hormones. They produce 4 types of hormones. One is oxytocin. The second one is vasopressin. Then it will release certain releasing hormones and certain inhibiting hormones. The GnRH, it is an example of releasing hormone. Gonadotrophin releasing hormone. So this gonadotrophin releasing hormone, when it is secreted from the hypothalamus, it will go to the pituitary gland and stimulate for the synthesis and secretion of gonadotrophin. That means to increase LH and FSH. On the other hand, somatostatin, it is an inhibiting hormone which will inhibit the secretion of growth hormone from pituitary. So these hormone will reach the anterior pituitary through the portal circulation and regulate the function of anterior pituitary. In the case of the posterior pituitary, there is direct neural regulation from hypothalamus. So next is pineal gland. Its location is dorsal side of forebrain. It secretes a hormone which is called as melatonin. And this melatonin, it plays a very important role in the regulation of 24-hour diurnal rhythm of our body. rhythm of our body. That means it will help in maintaining the normal rhythm of our sleep-wake cycle, our body temperature. In addition, it also influences, melatonin will influences our metabolism, skin pigmentation, then menstrual cycle, and it is found it is having an effect on our defense capability. The thymus gland, it is a lobular structure which is located between lungs, behind our sternum, and on the ventral side of aorta. Its major role is in our immune system. Major role. In our body, we are having T cells as well as B cells. These both are produced from bone marrow. They are lymphocytes. So the development of B cells will occur in bone marrow, whereas the development of T cells and its differentiation will occur in the thymus. The T cell is involved in cell-mediated immunity. Cell-mediated immunity, CMI. Whereas B cell is involved in antibody-mediated immunity because it is producing antibodies, or humoral immunity. Humoral immunity. The thymus gland will produce a peptide hormone which is called thymosin. It is a peptide hormone, and this thymosin will help in the differentiation of T lymphocytes. It also, in the case of humoral immunity, the thymosin promote production of antibodies to produce humoral immunity. The thymus gland, it is degenerated in old individuals. It is degenerated in old individuals, resulting in decreased production of thymosin. So, the immune response of old person are weak. In old person, the immune response will be weak. Our body is having one pair of adrenal gland, which is located in above the kidneys. So it is divided into adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. So two type of tissues, adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Medulla which is centrally located. Adrenal medulla secrete two hormones, adrenaline, or it is also called as epinephrine, then noradrenaline, which is also called as norepinephrine. These are the two hormones produced by them. So these two hormones are togetherly called as catecholamines. This adrenaline and noradrenaline are rapidly secreted in response to stress or during emergency. So it is called as emergency hormone or hormone of fight, hormone of flight. That means when a dog approaches you or when such situations you came across, your adrenaline level goes up in your body and this hormone will increase your alertness. You will be highly alert. And pupillary dilation, it will dilate the pupil. Piloerection, piloerection means raising of hairs in your body, and you will sweating, and it will increase. So this is a situation where you should fight, or otherwise you must run away. So your heartbeat will increase. The strength of heart contraction will increase, and the respiratory rate will also increase. This is a situation where the body needs more glucose. Hence, it will break down the glycogen into glucose. And this process is called glycogenolysis. So our blood concentration of glucose will rise. In addition, it will promote lipolysis as well as protein breakdown. That means proteolysis. Lipolysis means lipid breakdown. These adrenal cortex can be divided into 3 layers: zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, zona reticularis. Remember the mnemonic GFR: zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, zona reticularis. This will be outer and the zona reticularis will be towards the inner. It secretes many hormones, especially corticoids. They are corticosteroids. They are steroid hormones. This zona glomerulosa will produce the hormone aldosterone. It is a mineralocorticoid. That means they will regulate the balance of water and electrolyte. In our body. Zona fasciculata will produce cortisol. It is a main glucocorticoid which are involved in carbohydrate metabolism. That is carbohydrate metabolism. So this glucocorticoid will stimulate gluconeogenesis. That means from amino acid and from fatty acid, that is non-carbohydrate sources, we can generate glucose in our body. This is gluconeogenesis. This will be stimulated. So to get amino acid and fatty acid, for fatty acid we will lipolysis will be stimulated. That means breakdown of fat. To get amino acid, proteolysis, that means breakdown of protein will be stimulated. It maintains cardiovascular system and kidney functions. This cortisol is having anti-inflammatory response, and it will suppress immune response. It stimulates RBC production. Cortisol will stimulate RBC production. So these are the various functions of the cortisol. Now coming on to aldosterone. It acts mainly on the renal tubule and stimulates the reabsorption of sodium and water and increased excretion of K plus and phosphate ion. That means it helps in the maintenance of electrolyte. Our body fluid volume, osmotic pressure and blood pressure. A small amount of androgenic steroid are secreted by the adrenal cortex, especially the zona reticularis region, and it plays a great role in growth of axial hair, pubic hair and facial hair. Addison disease is when the hormone of adrenal cortex is reduced under production, it will alternate the carbohydrate metabolism and result in acute weakness and fatigue.